Welcome back. Oh, we got balloons going off. We got all kinds of stuff happening here. Welcome to Frequency Theorists Volume 19, guys. We've been doing this. 19 sporadically here and there's rocket ships going on in Evans Field over there. Everybody's in their own reality. We're having a fun Brady Bunch moment here with all these little boxes, and this is great. It's wonderful to see everyone. If you are joining us in this afterwards, which it would be if you're not here live now, then all the ways to find all these folks will be located down below if they choose to submit that, as well as we do a playlist over on Spotify to where all the folks as well who would like to choose a song who are here participating, it gets added to that Spotify playlist, and you guys can just go check that out. All that's linked down below, nice and easy like for you. So, wow, this thing keeps growing. Ryan, what do you think about that?
Well, we started, I remember doing this when it was just you, me, and Mark Ollie. And it was just like, that was it. It was like we were the only three that showed up. And, and now it's grown into this amazing thing. And this is, it's super fucking sick.
Super sick, right? And Mark sends his regards, actually. He got the bubble guts. He got food poisoning right before this. He was like, mate, I missed like the last two. And he was just really upset. He said, definitely send the link for the next one. So we will. But yes, it's been amazing. And yeah, it's a wild thing we got going on here.
I try to join this all the time. You never know what's going on in your life, but for whatever big reason, like this always means a lot to me. I said it on the last episode. It means so much to me to be able to hang out with you guys. I hope it means a lot to you, especially at the end when we're jamming together. I can't wait.
It's
my favorite part. I don't care about what we talk about. Let's get to the music.
Jam? I missed a jam.
Yeah, I did too.
That's the thing too, is that if you hang out here, then, and I think last time I actually ended the meeting. If that ever happens, by the way, guys, just hop back in. All right, we're still there. Just hop back in the link. That's my bad. The get the fuck out of here and stop recording are right next to each other. And so I chose the other after our awesome conversation last time. So if that ever happens, hop back in. We stop recording and we are playing music at that point. Due to copyright, we don't do that while we record, but then we're sharing music, man. And that's where we add all the songs to the playlist and talk about new cool shit. So yes, let's definitely do that. So stick around. New faces. Anybody here that's new want to chime in and say hi and introduce yourselves and say hi?
Hey, hi, sure.
Who we got up first?
Sorry. It's fine. The other person can go first.
Okay. How about this? Luke, go with it. Vito, I got you next, and then Mountain Elf after that. Go for it.
All right. Hello, everybody. Luke Mungo here. Grateful to be here. Grateful to meet everybody. Really enjoy the podcast. Brandon, I met you through our brother Amethyst Flame.
Shout out.
Greg, and we're doing awesome stuff. And I don't know quite how all this works, but I like to make music, raps, silly songs, and tell jokes and get up on stage. So here we are.
Hell yeah.
Do you mind if I put you on the spot for your favorite real quick joke?
A favorite joke? I don't know if I have a favorite joke, but you like Bill Hicks. I like Bill Hicks a lot. A joke that he told when he was alive about having a job was, how do I tell it? Basically, his boss is telling him, hey, what are you just sitting around for? He's like, there's nothing to do. He's like, well, why don't you pretend like you're working? And Bill Hicks says, well, why don't you pretend like I'm working? And that's one of my favorite Bill Hicks jokes.
I remember, yes, absolutely. Great pull, man. I love that. How about you pretend like I'm working, man? I love that. Yes, excellent pull. And yeah, great taste, man. Well, we're glad you're here, Luke. Thank you so much, man. And all the ways to find him, guys, all linked down below. Vito, dude, what's going on?
Hey, how are you guys doing? I'm Vito. I guess I'll introduce myself. I'm Vito. I'm from the Pillars of Wisdom, which is a company that was founded by the top writer of the Red Pill. We published our first book here. Basically, it's a bunch of theories, articles that were compiled together because the author of this book was censored, not just by the Red Pill, but also by contemporary social media. And so we decided that instead of getting censored all the time, we're just going to write a book, publish it, and then you can read all these spicy articles on there without having to look for them like it's a secret treasure. personally, I'm from Germany, and I grew up in Germany, and now I am living in Mexico. I started working for the company about 2 years ago, and I basically take care of the European division because I speak 5 languages. So
No big deal.
yeah, so that's me. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, welcome, brother. We're grateful. Can't wait to get my hands on your book. We're going to do some really cool stuff. So look forward to more with Vito and his work. He's doing incredible things. Yeah. Mountain Elf, what's up, dude?
Greetings, everyone. You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name is John, casually referred to as the Mountain Elf or whatnot online, other places. I'm from Vancouver, BC, Canada, and I am an energy worker that uses tuning forks a lot. So I think that's what found me here. I was connected with you through a mutual friend, Curtis. So grateful to be here. Looking forward to having a good discussion, and happy Sunday, everybody.
Yeah, happy Sunday. Yes.
Those big earthquakes. Did you feel those earthquakes out there?
Oh, sure did. Actually, it's funny. It's one of the sharpest ones I've ever felt up here. We don't get them too bad, in the years I've been alive. So that was the one that had my attention the most for quite a long time. Our newborn was napping on my chest, so I was semi-incapacitated at the time, and my wife was in the bathroom, and I was like, earthquake, and then we just watched it go. But it was pretty sharp, actually. Yeah, it was interesting for a minute.
Crazy.
Wow.
Thankfully, just fun.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Ian, do you want to say hi, dude?
Yeah, I'm Ian. I'm from Iowa, and I'm an artist, pen artist mainly. I'm a machinist and CNC programmer for trade. Met Brandon through Instagram, noticed my artwork on there and contacted me, and kind of an introvert. This is kind of new for me. So a little shyness going on, but I'm looking to relax and kind of get to know everybody, and kind of interested in seeing what goes on here. Glad to be here.
Grateful you're here, man. His art is incredible. In fact, if anybody, by the way, any of y'all want to link anything in the chat there to let everybody know how to communicate with you, your emails, as well as how they can find you, please do so. This is a tight group. We all follow each other. We all support each other. Ian does some amazing work. He's going to be joining us soon as a creative expansion artist. Rita Roberts has joined us a couple of times to do that. And I think that's it. Yes. So I'm really looking forward to that, brother. But your work is incredible, and you belong, man. We had a cool phone call, and this is a brother, guys. Do you mind letting them know where you work?
I work at a machine shop here in Fort Madison, Iowa. It's Huffman's Machining and Welding. It's a family-owned business. They've been around since 1976. I've been there for a total 13 years. I'm the main guy on the machinist side, so I do a lot of cool work. I mean, being an artist and being a machinist is kind of goes hand in hand, because create things out of a raw piece of metal into parts that are usable, and it's definitely a good job that I enjoy. I don't hate my job, which is a big deal to me. But retirement time, I'm 50. Today is my birthday, 50.
Hey, happy solar return, man. Howard Dean scream there too, buddy.
Half century. I'm hoping to retire halfway early and just do my work full time.
Nice. And I am just going to go ahead and pull your Instagram up here for everybody at home watching and all that. He is going to be linked down below. Guys, come check some of his stuff out. Look at this shit.
So I want to learn welding. What kind of welding do you do?
I don't do welding. I'm a machinist. I do the CNC, big mills, and I actually work on really large machines. I mean, they're about 12 foot tall, about 10, 12 foot wide. They're very large machines. We do a lot of big parts.
Dude, I want this on a guitar.
Oh, yeah.
I actually want this and the other ones on a guitar, too. I got a lot of buttons that are telling me to fuck off. But this thing right here, dude, could you imagine that? right down there by the bridge.
That's fucking rad.
Ah,
The octopus thing was awesome. I was just watching Resident Alien like yesterday, and he was all like, we come we come from the octopi or whatever. I was like, yes.
Yeah, that one's my favorite
I
there.
love this shit right here.
And actually, I
That's
have
so cool.
This artwork with the bugs. I have real bugs in shadow boxes with these guys.
No
wow.
way.
Yeah, entomology stuff.
Do you make little parts for him and like give them little guns and stuff?
No,
like,
that
dress
would
them
be
up?
cool. I do have a 3D printer, and that's a good idea.
Have you seen people that do that? They do it for like rats or something like this. You know, I think it's taxidermied stuff, but they'll give them suits of armor. But you could mech mod something out like this, you know?
The Oddities Expos.
Yeah.
I tried to get into one this year, and of course I didn't get in. It's hard to get in, but
that's all right.
Hopefully someday I will.
Or something better. Or something better, buddy, always. Anyway, wanted to just point you out, man, point out your work. He is going to be joining us again, guys. So stay tuned for more Ian. But dude, thank you so much for showing up. And that is awesome. That is
thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Another new face. Mike, you want to say hi? Stellium 7, everybody's in the house. Do you guys know who that is? Stellium 7? His episode is almost out. I had a really huge hiccup in the studio that took me out for about a week and a half. We're back on track. We're rolling again with positive momentum. So Mike, yours is coming up soon. But guys, banger, legend right here. So good to see you, man.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for the invite. What can I say about myself? I am a chiropractor. I'm a budding author, former hacker, titanologist, biogeologist. Yeah, I don't know. It's a mixed bag of a lot of different things, and it takes a long time to explain.
Well, it's a ton, and thankfully we did have him on the episode again, guys. It's not out yet, but it will be up very, very, very soon. But he talks about all this kind of cool stuff. Biogeology, one of my favorite ones, petrified coochies, and due diligence. Mm-hmm. Man's a genius, by the way, at naming these things. If you go through here, you would just enjoy the naming of it. But his Unveiling a Titan series is fascinating. Do you want to say just a little bit about it, Mike?
Sure.
An ad for you.
Play an ad for me.
Let me tell you what your parents.
There you go.
That's more like what we're seeing here. Yeah, that's part one. That's the one everyone always goes to because it's the first in the series, and it's the first video I ever made. So it's it's something I would do very differently now, but it's the first in the series, and basically I spent a couple of years examining this mountain that you see there on the screen in Spain, and it started with just the question, like, is it possible that Titans once existed, and if so, are there remains of Titans still here? And it was the work of some other YouTube channels that initially got me looking at the subject. And then this mountain, I live here in Spain in a little town where this mountain sits. And so I'd spent a lot of time hiking it, and I knew it pretty much inside and out. There's several different caves, which I've gone into. And so I started looking at correlations between anatomy and the structures of the mountain. And it pretty quickly became like an episode of The Twilight Zone because there were so many things that were lining up. They were very specific. And by the time all was said and done, there were over 50 different correlations that lined up perfectly with the anatomy and the histology, which would be the study of tissues for a creature that must have once been about a mile tall and 3 miles long. So it's pretty far-fetched and hard for, the average Joe to even begin to wrap their head around. But for people who have gone deep into alternative cosmologies and question the very nature of our realm, I think it's not such a stretch. And from there, I made a discovery in the stones about what I've taken to calling petrified organs, specifically petrified hearts. I recognized a repeating theme in what we call cobblestones, or the river rock that shouldn't be there based on just random banging around and erosion, and matches up very beautifully with heart anatomy. So I've got whole playlists on that subject. There's one there. Click on that. That's a short video. So this is
Another ad for you, bud.
pattern. Oh man.
What do you think about that guy? Is this like what you're hoping to look like in
12?
We're going to give him a little airtime. Do you hope to look like this in like 10 years? Is this our goal, guys? All right, we're done with that. Anyway, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So these stones, they follow a very specific pattern, and if you know heart anatomy and you know the basic morphology of hearts, then you can start to spot it. But this is just one that was on the path, half buried. That's where the aorta would have been, and yeah. So that was just a random video. There's another one. If you go back, that you could just have running in the background. Let's see. There's a whole lot on my channel that has to do with the Titanic trees as well. Click on videos, the video tab, and then just scroll down a bit. A little more. There's one there. Where is it?
Hang on. Tam, shout out. Richard, shout out. Okay.
Yeah. Richard Lopez was the first guy who ever interviewed me. So that Twin Flames, that one.
I saw it. Yep.
Yeah. So this is just showing that it's a very specific, repeatable pattern, and it's scalable, and it shouldn't be there based on just like random erosion from breaking layers of sedimentary rock. And it bizarrely matches up perfectly with heart anatomy. So I spent a lot of time looking into those and doing different tests, CAT scans and endoscopic cameras, and looking at them with microscopy. And I sent them to a lab in the US. That's a very interesting story. It takes about 3 hours to tell. I made a video called Paradigm Crushed on the channel that's all about that. But you can see that these are not just random stones. They're very specific, and they're exhibiting aspects of heart anatomy that they just shouldn't if they were random.
How many times do you guys think you picked up a rock that looks like that? Because when he was explaining this, I could think of dozens of times where I've been like, that rock's interesting, but it looked like just a rock, or I was told it was just a rock and threw it down. But he's telling you that these are hearts. And what's fascinating is when he does go over this, guys, he goes over the anatomy of it. And there's sort of side-by-sides going on, and he can show you all the little pinch points of where aortas went and all of that. But how crazy is this? The biogeometry sort of thing, and like he said, it's scalable, meaning that there are different creatures with this heart running around at different sizes, like fairies and shit, maybe.
I have them like from this size up to the biggest one in my office is about 1.5 feet.
All right. Well, we're not going to play any more ads for you there, but what I will do is drop that in the chat. Go ahead, bud.
Oh, I was going to say, I think the Medusa thing, like they somehow can freeze people to stone, but I was going to say the point about the Titans, like made me think of if there was a creature that was 3 miles long that was alive at one point, that the only ones that I've heard of around that are still around now, and even then it's like a myth, is the spiders in Antarctica that are 80 feet tall or whatever. Wouldn't that be like proportionately like the same like range? Or
I've never heard of 80-foot tall spiders in Antarctica. Oh, yeah. That's a new one for me.
Glad they're in Antarctica, not here.
Yeah, no shit. Good call.
Yeah.
Damn.
I thought
just Fozzie Orgonite at him when you see him, dude.
Something. Better chances than just trying to run away from them.
Damn, Evan, I didn't even know this.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, yeah. That was way back on the Coast to Coast. Where I first heard it.
And I would think they'd be in the water, right? In the oceans, like a Leviathan or something like this. That's terrifying.
They only come out at night, and they don't mess with them, is what I've heard. The military is like, just stay away.
Well, if you got to deal with them, all right.
Give them a fly. I don't know.
Yeah, what are they eating out there?
So they're not just protecting the penguins with the Antarctic Treaty?
What? I love that. That's one of the best examples of a global governance is that there's a whole conspiracy. How could there be? Well, they can all agree on that, but nothing else, right? We're pointing nukes at each other, but no one should go to Antarctica, and everyone agrees with that on account of the spiders. What do you think they're eating, though, Evan? If they're 80 feet tall and spiders eat things to survive, are they like robot spiders, like one-eye robot spiders that the Nazis just had left around, took over, became autonomous, and now they just have a deal with them?
I don't know. Maybe they have really, really high metabolism and they just go to the water and like eat sharks or whales.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe they're 60-foot tall houseflies.
Yeah, right.
Those.
And they're protecting us from the houseflies. Because that's the thing, right? When you find a spider in your house, you leave it there because it's helping you clean up all the shit you don't want in your house. That's what we do around here. I don't know.
I do that. Yeah.
So maybe the spiders are there protecting us from the flies beyond. And that's what the big conspiracy is all about. I'm going to throw it in the pile. You know, I'm going to throw it in the pile. Just as plausible as anything else. Fuck it. Adam Butler, what do you think about all that? Good to see you, dude. That beard won't stop, and I don't want it to.
Good to see everybody as well. Honestly, I think 2025 and probably the couple years after this, there's going to be a lot of weird shit that's going to be brought to the surface that I think is going to be indisputable. I don't know about necessarily like 80-foot spiders, but there's nothing out of my realm. I've seen crazier shit than that. So
yeah, you're the DMT guy. That's right. I was wondering, like, is there any insight on the other side of these 80-foot spiders? You know,
what in DMT space?
Yeah,
I can ask.
Okay, thank you. Would you report back to us? You know, and anything, I guess, submit in the chat, guys. If you need to know what's going on in DMT space, Adam Butler can help you guys out. We were going to do it. You were going to do it. I think every episode, actually. Adam Butler's DMT field guide, guys. Includes recipes, so get your own.
Thanks for the flash. Actually, if anybody is following DMT, there's a guy, Danny Gola, that's been doing this like laser experiment where if you shine a laser on the wall, there's supposedly some like running code.
Oh, yes. I've seen this.
So I've befriended him. I actually was just on his podcast a couple weeks ago, and he sent me one of the lasers. And so last week I had a few sessions looking into that, and it's there. I saw it the first time and don't quite know what it means or what it, like ontologically how that changes anything. But there is this like matrix looking code that is clearly organized and has information encoded in it, and it's in very distinct like columns and rows, and it's, I don't know, like there's very few things that kind of, I don't want to say blow my mind, but I've seen so much weird shit and experienced so much weird stuff. But that was a weird one to actually, like I said, look into an opening that a laser created and see some sort of code in there.
Damn,
so that's how I spent my last
video.
weekend.
I've shared that guy's work, man. That shit's crazy. That's interesting.
Yeah, and he's been interviewing a lot of pretty cool guests. He actually just went on Danny Jones' podcast. He has a pretty long interview there. But yeah, and anybody experiencing this, no one's saying that they have the answer, that they know what it is or what it means. It just, I think it ties into this kind of something greater than narrative. I don't know, that's what I plan on exploring.
What do you mean? Like when you were on DMT, when you're on DMT, you can see information from a laser? I didn't quite get what you were saying there, like about the information in the laser.
So he found that if you look at the reflection of a diffracted laser, so it's not really like a pinpoint laser, but it's more like a spread out beam, and you ultimately elevate your senses with DMT. Now, this is kind of where I think you can probably see it without DMT. I think in deep meditative states, maybe you can even induce your own endogenous DMT. But the quick, easy cheat code is, a blast of DMT will allow all of your senses to pick up so many more refined and detailed information, I guess. And you're able to, like, remember those Magic Eye books where if you kind of had to look through it? So it's not anything that you see on the surface. You almost have to like look through the surface. And the best way to describe it is there's this raining code. It looks like computer code, but it's distinct from all the other spinny mandala DMT shapes, and it's distinct from just normal laser movement. That's
interesting. Yeah. What do you guys think about there being information data in like photons in the sun and stuff? Like, I actually was thinking about this the other day, and or I've been thinking about it for a while. And maybe being in an altered state kind of helps when it's sunny and you're like, wow, I'm getting informational, like energetic data. But then I saw a video of Rupert Sheldrake saying the exact same thing, and about stars and everything actually having consciousness. I don't know, like it's kind of connected a little bit, but I don't think you have to be on DMT like necessarily to pick up the energetic data in the life force. And I don't know if if laser beams fit into that, but super interesting.
Gabe, what were you gonna say, bud?
Sorry. Not much. I just, I did want to say that I unfortunately am going to have to split a little early this time. I have a chicken coop that I'm helping to build with Sharon.
Oh, adorable.
She says hello, by the way. And,
tell her I said hi, please.
Will do. And I also have a water tank I have to fix a leak on before the next rain. So anyways.
It's always something, isn't it?
Yeah, always. one thing is fixed, another thing breaks. That's pretty much how it works. But that's par for the course when you're running a ranch. But I did just want to pop in and give my regards and see everyone like I do, and see how you're doing, Brandon.
Thank you, brother. I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. We're going to have you guys on for the CDS stuff.
Yes,
very soon.
We'd love to be.
There's
just
cool things going on with that, guys. So we're going to have him on for sure very soon.
Yeah, sorry to hear about your studio malfunction.
Dude, it was crazy. And then it was a huge
too.
workaround, and I figured it out, but it was like 4 times as long, and it was a nightmare with 3 out of 4 episodes that I recorded, not even in sequential order. The second one was fine. The first, third, and fourth didn't. And it's this nightmare. Stellium Yours is one of these. And so one of the batch that just did not, get out for publish, but I found a workaround, and I'm tricking my machine into picking it up and learning about it. Anyway, so it's been an interesting opportunity in disguise. One of these, like, you can do it, buddy. I'm like, yeah, I got other shit to do. I know it can solve this problem, but I'd rather not. Like, let's just do something else and just give me the thing. But we're back moving. It's just one of these little pauses. You know what I mean? But thank you for saying that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And, definitely give our best to Sharon, though, for damn sure. And chickens are fun. How many do you guys have?
We don't have any yet. We're just building. This is our first foray into the whole thing. We're gonna get about. We're looking at about 6 in total. It's going to be just to kind of get our feet wet with that. But the coop part was actually already built. We're just repurposing all kinds of wood and just assorted bric-a-brac that's upstairs. And the coop part, like the nest part, is already built. We just had to reinforce the plywood. Then we're going to build the run and, get the fencing around it. And then the very last step, of course, is to get the chickens.
It's amazing. And don't mess around with chicken wire. You know to do hardware cloth, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
we've looked
fuck with chicken wire. It's garbage. Absolute garbage.
No, we have bobcats and raccoons and all kinds of stuff that have to be kept out. So
you'll dig. Dude, I love it, man. Well, there's a thing called chicken math, and if you're planning to get 6, you'll come back with 18. That's how this works. Or within a month, you'll have 18.
This whole artificial egg nonsense that just went down just kind of lit a fire under our asses, and
we love
hopefully by my 40th, which is April 24th, I will be enjoying some nice freshly homegrown eggs for breakfast, and I think I'm really looking forward to it.
That's amazing. Well, if you got any questions, we raised it for 9 years, so just call me,
Good to know. I absolutely will. And likewise, please email either me or Sharon about the episode. We will be ready.
Dude, thank you. Yes, I'm excited about it. It's good to see you, Bubba.
Likewise. And nice seeing all of you, and hope you have a nice meeting.
Thanks, man. Love you, Bubba.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
So that's the Danny Jones podcast here, guys, that I was just playing in the background here. And it does reveal that video that I've seen that you're talking about here about these lasers. And they find this code in the back here. And it's interesting, Natalie, what you said as well, because we all have DMT in us. So it, I guess, depends on what's been calcified out of you, or what's numbed, or what your abilities are, your sun signs, or what your sea salts or your tissue salts are dialed into. So many factors would, I guess, come about to see if you see stuff like this or not. But it seems like if you can show people with a laser, now you're blowing minds on a faster pace. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to depend on people eating healthier and asking as many questions. You can be like, here, let me show you a laser thing, because you're going to start asking plenty of questions just after that.
Yeah.
Maybe
I was going to say, you can do like deep breathing techniques too. That'll release DMT. So even if you didn't want to, smoke it or whatever, that might be another way. And then stare at the laser, and you might notice it.
Dude, we did breath work with Brandon Powell, and I was tripping balls, man. Yeah, it was crazy out in Utah. Yeah, Natalie, what were you saying?
There was this guy, Stanislav Grof, who did holotropic breathing back in like the 80s or 90s or whatever. Have you guys heard of him?
Yes.
He did this like stuff where he'd like regress people back through all their blocks and like through being born and all this stuff, just through deep breathing. And you can get in the same state that you would if you were taking all these, DMT or whatever, because you're releasing the DMT that's naturally available. And it's super interesting because I just happen to be going through all these like breathing blocks lately, like just really stunted breathing. So it's super interesting, and maybe it makes you wonder what's in there that maybe your subconscious is trying to like block. Like it's just super interesting, like because I'm getting really into hypnotherapy and stuff, which is all connected to like your breathing and to altered states. Like it's all kind of connected. But anyway, super fascinating stuff about how you can hit those altered states just naturally through breathing, right?
Well, can I propose? Yes, and so I actually went to Monroe Institute a couple months ago, kind of to try to find a bunch of different ways of getting access to that information. So whether it be breathing, meditation, DMT, the binaural beats, the hemisync. But if I could throw it to, and I apologize, I'll call you Mountain Elf. I forgot your first name. So I'd be interested in. So you said you do healing with tuning forks, and just really, really interested in the power of vibrational energy. And I think tuning forks is such an easy, palpable, practical thing for people to kind of see and understand when you talk about like resonant fields. And in addition to healing and and maybe you could talk too about more like the physiological responses that happen. But have you either personally experienced like an increase in cognitive ability, or maybe to like what Natalie was saying, like an induction of endogenous DMT, or I don't know, an altered state of consciousness simply from vibrational tuning forks and that type?
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly with the individuals that I'm working with, but under the right circumstances, depending on which part of the body you're working with, like I've seen people have very intense visions and, go through a whole bunch of different states through it. So 100%, it can get fully immersive and pretty wild and overwhelming in certain circumstances, just the same. So, no, for sure.
Because anybody that's done DMT, I mean, it is a viscerally vibrating feeling. I mean, it really, you do resonate and vibrate. So I was curious, and I found there are quite a few similarities between what the hemisync Monroe technology can do and the really psychedelic states. But I'd love to be able to sit with intention with somebody like you to actually see what the body can do with the right types of vibrations with that intent, to kind of explore other consciousness.
Yeah, I think it's individually circumstantial. Like it's not something I would feel comfortable saying like, come on over, or we'll fire
we'll trip you out.
We'll fire the forks and I'll get you to hallucinate other realms. But the right person under the right circumstances, 100% for sure.
Have you ever done it yourself?
DMT?
No, like tuning forks, like even to try to elicit your own kind of elated response. Like,
I mean, the technique I use sort of most of the time requires being off the body at different aspects of range. So I've never actually like put a fork to my head and tried to tap into other stuff, but. Maybe I should. Get down to work a little bit with that stuff. I got it on the weekend. That's a good idea.
Well, because I'm the first person to say that DMT is not for everybody, and that you can get to these elevated states through multiple other methods, including meditation, prayer, walking in the woods. So there are certainly other ways of getting there. And I think the more ways that are exposed to people, the better.
I mean, I think the strongest response I've had has been through doing the Wim Hof back when I was getting into that, like seen some things along the way there, but yeah, it's definitely possible.
How about mushrooms? Do you think mushrooms could get you to the same state as DMT, or is it completely different? I haven't done DMT, but I've done lots of acid back in the day, and recently like mushrooms and stuff, which I would never touch acid anymore. But like mushrooms, do you think you could get the same sort of touch the same idea, or is it completely different?
In regards to the laser, or just in general?
Just in terms of like hitting different, I guess, just I don't know, communing with a different intelligence or some higher, higher
sure.
data. Yeah.
I think, the consciousness expanding aspects of psychedelics is certainly one of the reasons why, they're getting so much more attention and popularity now. There is a distinct difference, though, between DMT and other psychedelics. From my personal experience, as well as from what I've heard from other people, DMT is its very own distinct realm. And it has its own set of physics and its own movements, different from just the kind of spinning mandala, trippy Alex Gray type stuff that most people are aware of.
Or machine elves.
But it's, you can imagine machine elves on shrooms and what that would look like. But machine elves in that DMT space, it's so clear and crisp and mathematically precise, but yet constantly consistent, dynamic, moving. It's something. I mean, I've done it hundreds of times, and I'm still blown away every time I enter that space. But it is a unique. But I guess, and this is what I'm trying to figure out, is it's a unique vibration of information that DMT allows you to tap into, like I said, instantly and quickly. But like I said, there are other ways of getting there, and that's kind of really intriguing to me, because it proves that it's not just some drug-induced vision, or that I think it's a real palpable realm of information or energy.
Yeah,
Adam, I've had.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I've had visions with crystal bowls being played, laid out, and having the bowls on me. That's been a very visual experience, and even before I was really exploring these things intentionally, it just happened.
Now, like a specific, I guess, and then maybe a question, like a specific frequency or hertz, or just a vibrating bowl, and it felt like the right thing to do.
Well, usually with 3, and then the sound healer was changing the sizes and tones and everything, and I can't say which frequency did what, but it's very trippy. And I'm a full sobriety person. These things, doing it with substance it doesn't feel like it's a good thing for me.
Well, even in a group of musicians, right? Anybody that's listened to a beautiful, powerful voice. I mean, I've been brought to tears by someone's voice. I've been feeling like, you have such an emotional response. So, I don't think there's any question on the power of sound to have all sorts of emotional responses.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Dawn, have you ever done DMT?
No.
Do you want to?
Not sure. Don't know.
All right. Well, when you come to Texas in May, we can I'll have maybe, we can get a hold of some, or I'll cook some up from Adam's book here, and we can have a go.
I'll come play with the donkeys. I'll bring
some. Now we're talking even better. Yeah. Adam, we'll coordinate it and come on out here. Send her off to the other side.
I want in on the DMT party.
You coming? All right. In May, I'm going to go pick her up from Confluence, right? And then you're going to fly out of North Texas. So I'm going to go pick her up from South Texas, drive her back up here. Have our nice road trip through the hill country there, Dawn. I love it. I've got a couple already rolled up for the road. Don't worry about it. And excited, very excited. So she's going to come back up here. So let's do it. May, right?
I might hitch a ride.
Yeah, because you're coming, right? You two should coordinate flights out, because you're flying back to Spain. She's flying back to UK, but you guys could do it from North Texas. I'll come pick you up. See how this is so fucking cool. This is going to turn into a thing, isn't it? Q, you joining us?
I haven't booked my flights yet, Mike. I'll talk to you tomorrow. You
guys get it worked out. You can absolutely Mike, come hang out with us. It'd be a lot of fun. And then it sounds like we may be doing DMT. Maybe I'll find some elephants all over this fucking place,
Oh, literally, we were walking, what was it, after Music and Sky, and we were just walking randomly along the beach, weren't we, at the airport in California. Do you remember, Mike? And he just looks down, picks up a stone, it's another heart. I was just, he's got X-ray vision, he just does like sees them. It's incredible. Do you remember?
Yeah. I mean,
it was slightly broken, but I remember you gave me that one. It's just incredible. There's so many. It's fascinating. Anyway,
that's the thing. We all go. Let's go on a hike together. We got DMT happening. We got an artist that could sit. Many artists that will sit there. We've got music that can occur. Vito's got all sorts of philosophies we could talk about. Mountain Elf's got the tuning forks going. Sean, bring your handpan. Right? That'd be awesome, man.
How many weeks is this going to go on for?
I know, right? Yeah.
I was gonna say, I live in Scotland too. There's groups over here that'll do retreats, and there's guys that'll do like guided DMT experiences. I still haven't tried it. I've been meaning to try it, but
I would say if as we're having this conversation, and I'm the first to let's laugh and joke and have some levity about it. But truth be told, if anybody is interested in doing it, you really need to kind of take a step back, give it the respect and reverence, and understand the power of that molecule. It's really not anything to be fucked with or played with. That being said, it can have absolute transformational effects. It can have life-changing, in my case, life-saving effects. It can open up your consciousness to a whole different realm of possibilities. And in my particular case, it shifted my entire perspective on a way that was internally gratifying and enriching, as opposed to kind of this life of stress and bullshit and anxiety. So I'm a huge proponent of it. That being said, it's not for everybody, and I wouldn't just willy-nilly just show up and be like, yeah, let's all take a blast of it, because that's when shit can go horribly south. But like in my personal case, I spent 4 or 5 months exploring shrooms and being on shrooms before I felt comfortable doing DMT. And then when I had access to DMT, I spent several months doing the research, reading several books, getting as much information as I could before actually doing it that day. And it was set up as a day set aside specifically for that reason, with intent, with purpose. So even my whole experience with it took several months before I felt comfortable doing it. So I just want to put that out there. I'm not somebody that's just like, yeah, it's for everybody, because it could blow up your perspective too. So
that's why I thought I haven't done it yet.
Oh, my bad. Somebody come back. Who was going?
I was going to say my wife and I serve from time to time, and we're really cautious about setting with that. And I always like to support with a little bit of energy work afterwards, especially up in the third eye zone. So it is definitely. I mean, We've heard many tales of things going wacky, or even funny habits starting up with it. So, it certainly demands caution and respect along the way.
Yeah, for sure.
What are your thoughts about the entities that exist in those spaces? And
that's interesting.
Can they be nefarious?
Oh, absolutely. My experience, and you hear a lot of the common terms like the machine elves or the jesters. I like to describe it in like archetypes or kind of flavors of beings, because I think it is going to be subjective as far as how you experience that type of energy. But there are very clear, gestury, happy, like the annoying stepbrother type, kick in the ass type energies. There's very distinct motherly, nurturing female energies. There's very distinct like mentor male type energies as well. So there's certainly sentient beings and conveyance of information in that space. But I've never gone in and like seen the same character over and over. It typically seems to be like I said, an ambiance to the theme. If you're lucky to have interaction with entities, sometimes it really is just like you sit back and you're in this 3D IMAX, and it's just beautiful sights and sounds. It's not every time you do get that interaction, but and then a lot of times too, the conveyance of information isn't like English speaking. It's not somebody talking to you. It's typically you kind of get this download or input, and it's powerful.
I can get there with THC. Like, I don't even need psilocybin, or I haven't done DMT yet, but it doesn't take very much for me to hit those altered states. I still have some more third eye clearing to do, but there's a lot of entities out there and attachments. Like Chris Matthew, your buddy Brandon, he talks a lot about spiritual attachments, which I find really fascinating, and egregores being like kind of like thought projections, and then individual thought projections can kind of amalgamate and become like an actual like entity. It's so fascinating, like a collective kind of projection. Like, such a fascinating thing to look into, like what's beyond our realm of like perception. Like, there's so much more going on than we can perceive in our regular sort of matrix programming paradigm, right? Super fascinating.
But I'd say the lasers just by themselves could do that too. Personally, just not always sober-ish, but like just base layer, and then you stack the other stuff on it. You get like some snowball action.
Yeah, the entourage effect, right?
Yep.
That's why I'm curious. Sound bowls and DMT. That's what I'm hearing, Rita. Sound bowl, take it to the next level, maybe.
That's the big picture on all of this, and I think that's we're all kind of maybe approaching it or have an intellectual curiosity from our own perspectives. But it's that we certainly are greater than our traditional five senses. That not only do we have more than those original five senses, and I think it's many, many more. But what we normally think of a max dial of going up to 10. We can get that up to whatever, 1,000, 1,000,000, and whatever analogy you want to use. But and even with like the telepathy tapes, like that podcast that's been out showing the power of these nonverbal autistic kids, whether like I said, my stay at Monroe Institute, where they're doing this remote viewing, like the Joe McGonigal, where he worked for 4 presidents and has all of these crazy things that he's been able to do with remote viewing. It's just, we are so much more powerful than we typically give ourselves credit for, and however we need to remove all of the plaque and bullshit. And I think it's a combination of spiritual cleansing, proper diet, resonant energy, all this stuff kind of we're all talking about. But I think it's a big picture way of somehow removing the veil that we've put on ourselves to see the greater picture.
We're kind of programmed, like I think the 1% over the millennia, or whatever, how we want to look at it, has programmed the masses to sort of be dumbed down, to not perceive what's really going on, in my view anyway. Like, we're kind of programmed to stay within the little box, like don't think outside the box.
That's what I was going to say. There's a huge amount of conditioning, and it if you look back at all the psychology experiments they've been doing for like decades, way back in the 20th century, just so much just to learn how we can be manipulated. But just all these different systems condition, put us into ideas of things and making us feel small, and just really stopping us from realizing just what we can do, who we really are, and what we can access and what we can know, and how connected we all are. Of course, that they don't want us to know that, because of course then that we recognize our own power, and that's the whole point. That
I believe sorry to interject, but I believe that comes mainly from the education system, and also obviously from a lot of spiritual authorities and educational authorities as well. When I read those ancient texts, for example, on magic, there's a huge censorship going on based in modern times, just as well as in ancient times there were. You have Aristotelian positions and Maimonidean positions that basically try to steer you away from the real esoteric knowledge into a more moralism to sort of like dumb the masses down, right? And Socrates did this too, actually. He called it a virtuous lie. Basically, the whole point is to lie to the public so that they don't, they don't get hit with this reality that there's more than what the eye meets, right? So when you ask the question like why, where does this come from? Like, where does the censorship come from? Where does this dumbing down of the masses come from? Well, it comes from all these authority figures because they need to dumb you down in order to profit off of you, not just off of you economically, but also off of your soul. A lot of magic rituals, they require souls. And by keeping you ignorant of these processes, they can sort of like do a fool's bargain on you and trick you into taking deals that are damaging for you, right? And it's all disguised in moralism. It's all disguised in like trying to be a good person. But when you read, for example, the Old Testament, the language in the Old Testament is clearly not like a language of being a good person, of being a morally good person. There's a lot of death there. There's a lot of screaming there. There's a lot of like overpowering there. And on the side from the good guys, right, you'd think. But yeah, it's a facade. It's a religious facade. It's the economical facade to keep you from knowing more. Because as soon as you know more, then you realize not only what kind of powers you have, but also what they've been keeping from you and how they have been tricking you. It's like learning basic economics, and you start learning like what your labor is worth really, and you realize that all your jobs, all your bosses, your corporations, they've been lying to you this entire time, and they've been underpaying you for pretty much since the beginning of your day, of your first work day, right? And so that's why there's a huge amount of money being spent on trying to keep the masses dumb, because that's the only way the system can work, right?
Perception management, man. That's what it's all about, Ben, how are you, buddy?
Oh, hey there. Yeah, I'm just enjoying the conversation, and just wanted to say a weird synchronicity. DMT laser experiment with the codes. It was James Singer who sent that to me, and I think I sent that to you just a couple of weeks ago, which is
it's crazy. His
weird.
episode is out next on the show, James Singer's. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't really want to like give it away or be redundant because his episode might come out before this one, but he is really interesting, and he does a lot of experiments with these lasers and also with resonant frequencies in regards to creating portals is some of the stuff that he's been telling me. And hopefully he gets into that on the episode, but it's really interesting because I've been.
This is on your show?
Portals.
Yeah, it'll be coming out next. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research for my books and stuff about space-time portals. And I was talking to Mike Ricksecker, who was also on the podcast.
Yeah, shout out. We love Mike. We love Mike.
And Mike's theory is really interesting because he talks about how all time happens simultaneously. And if you can, in a lot of cases where people believe they perceive ghosts, a lot of times they're actually people, but from a different point in time. And Mike Ricksecker talks a lot about how the key for that happening is for the frequencies between two moments in time to align perfectly. And then you can have a little bit of that like crossover. But the thing I was asking Mike Ricksecker about, because I write books about cryptozoology where people see supposedly prehistoric extinct creatures. And I was asking Mike, is it possible that these creatures aren't really here in our present time, but there's some kind of time, he calls them time windows occurring, whereby you can get a glimpse into the ancient past, and whatever creatures are there can cross through even. And it kind of even makes me think about the Titans we were talking about earlier. I don't know, what if there's some kind of space-time effect where a creature tries to cross through and it becomes a lot larger than it would have been otherwise. That was just something that popped into my head. But anyway, very interesting synchronicities today. So yeah, thanks for having me. by the way.
Did he say anything about a gravity laser?
No, so we cover a ton of stuff, and I'm pretty sure not much of that actually, Ben. We covered the Lucy scale and how he communicated with whales, which is fascinating. He also said it's very depressing talking to whales, and said that they're a real bummer. And I was like, shit. He actually had a really good reason for it. Now think of this, okay? Because they're so large, their heart beats at such a different rhythm, their biomass takes up such a different amount, and therefore they exist in a different time. So it's sort of like what you're talking about, Ben. And what have I been screaming about for years on the show here, gang? Scale is the thing. It's all about scale, which is also a musical term for frequency and differentiations between two similar points, right? This is why Stellium, I think you can find hearts of many different sizes, and probably like, fairy penises and big elephant penis, all kinds of stuff going on out there, right? But the whole point here is this scale differential actually has a biofield resonance that alters your perception. So I mentioned to him on the show, though, something about when he was talking about it, to relate it, I was like, so this would be like a fly coming down to our speed and wanting to kill itself because we move so slow. He said exactly. So that's the whole point, is it's something that moves at a different rate because of their scale, that dumbing down or going to an alternative rate, either it's drinking from a fire hose. In the case of us going to a fly, we couldn't perceive it. But if you go the other way, it actually just bums you out because they move at such a different pace. He said he loved talking to blackbirds and dolphins, though. That was really cool. The CIA got involved, sunk their research ship. People went missing and dead, and it's a nuts story, guys.
According to what he told me, like the CIA and stuff was interested in like weaponizing that to use whales to go and like spy on the Soviets and stuff. But what's really interesting, another thing you guys were mentioning, is like the hemisync binaural effect and different frequencies being able to put you in different states of consciousness. That's one big thing he was talking about when I was talking to him. Is he has done a lot of experiments with this. When you have one tone, a specific frequency, and it has to be tuned a very certain way, and another tone, it creates a third tone.
Binaural beat.
I don't really know exactly the words, but according to James Sanger, this is something that has great potential when there's that third tone present to put you in an altered state of consciousness, or potentially open some kind of a space-time portal.
Well, that's why churches were designed the way they used to be, to create that extra tone.
Right. It's all about frequency. I think is like the big key about some of these sacred sites. That's a really good example. Churches. It has something to do with the sound waves, and I don't really fully understand how it works, but it is kind of interesting to think about how sound waves can affect your consciousness. I don't know if they talked about that at the Monroe Institute a lot. I imagine that's kind of like the concept of hemisync or binaural beats.
Yeah, I can explain it pretty easily. So the hemisync stands for hemisphere synchronization. So, each obviously we have two hemispheres in our brain, and typically the brain, my understanding, can only register or can't register anything under like 40 hertz, or some people really sensitive, maybe under 20 hertz. But at like 8 hertz or 10 hertz at these lower states is when you're able to kind of, it induces this meditative and kind of like entranced state. But because our ears can't normally, pick up a frequency that low, if you have 100 hertz in one ear and then 108 hertz in the other ear, the brain picks up that 8 hertz, which is normally not, would normally be too low to pick up. So that's how they're able to use the binaural beats, is whatever frequency they want the brain to actually pick up on, they just do a difference in each ear. And I went there, I don't want to say necessarily skeptical, but I'm so comfortable with knowing when my body is elevated and something's happening and that it's vibrating at a different frequency. And kind of one of my first questions to them was, will I know the difference of feeling if I'm in focus 12 or if I'm in focus 15 or if I'm in focus level 21? So anybody that and that's how they term the different vibrational levels. And I can say from a week's worth of staying there on that campus that it is a very, very clear, distinct feeling between those different focus levels. Like focus level 12, you feel a physical vibration and your body like shakes, and it's very, very it's a physical feeling, where like in Focus 21, it's more of a consciousness, and you are able to kind of get into this like deep sleep kind of meditative state. But yeah, it's very interesting. And not only me, but I was there with 25 other people, and all of us came out with pretty incredible stories. But I would highly recommend anybody interested in meditation and kind of this exploration of these types of fields. It's a beautiful campus in Virginia. It's awesome food. They have great coffee. It's a beautiful setting, and it's no bullshit, you know. And I'm obviously not a paid representative of them, but I think it was worth every penny, excuse me, and you get a lot out of it. And not that you need their location or even their technology. And kind of like what we're all saying, I don't think you need DMT. I don't think you necessarily need tuning forks or sound bowls. All of this power is internal and innate within us. And the more ways that we're able to kind of unlock it, so that becomes a norm, so that we can do it in our normal waking state, is, I think, important. And for me, they just added one more piece of the puzzle to be like, oh yeah, I can get my consciousness to experience this with binaural beats. And it's just another tool in my toolkit. But yeah, it was an awesome place.
Did they talk much about the frequency sets they were using for the different states?
So they have a lab guy there that took you to the lab and kind of went in really the mechanics behind it. They do a pretty good job of explaining like the engineering behind it, and even how Bob Monroe. So Robert Monroe, he's the one that got into it. He made all his money by owning like radio stations, and so he was kind of a like FM AM frequency geek. So he had all the tools and all the money and everything to kind of work with it. So, but yeah, it's all. I mean, I think that the institution's been out for like 40 years or 50 years. You know, so there's a lot of information on it. But like I said, from a personal account, I can say that it does work. With the proper intention and with anything, you know, with the right intention and the right desires and whatever, the proper respect. Yeah, it was awesome.
I was going to say that the brilliant point that you made, that we have these talents, we have these abilities. It's just we've been conditioned out of using them. So because there are so many different tools, it's great to have the tools that allow us to at least take some steps towards recognizing it. And as we get more used to using the tools and then move into the sort of greater realization that we can do it ourselves without the tools. It's not that we need the tools to do it, but it's just we've lost the skill of actually doing it for ourselves without them. So it's just brilliant that there are so many different ways, and we can try different ways. It's not like there's only one way to really access like the expanded states.
If I could add to that, add to that point, some of these processes, whether it be DMT or jumping in an ice bath, and Brandon and I use this analogy all the time about the proverbial like life plaque that gets built up on all of us just from the societal bullshit, from the societal pressures. And some of it is to make our survival that much easier. You know, sometimes it is we kind of have to go with the flow, so to speak. But I think to your point, a lot of us aren't able to express ourselves fully as a human, or with these, altered or increased senses, because we're just so bogged down with so much shit and so much crap. And whether it be a DMT blast that removes that, whether that be a deep meditation week, whether that, whatever that may be for somebody, as soon as that plaque is removed, it's amazing on how freeing and liberating and enriching it like life becomes, because you're not only you're able to express yourself that much greater, but you're also able to receive the energy and light and information from so many other sources, including people, including friendships, including conversations. But yeah, just the knowledge and recognition that you're greater than, and that you have, more access to informational senses. But then also knowing that sometimes there may be a mechanical or chemical plaque removal that's needed in order to kind of get that jump started.
It works on a different sort of framework, but very similar with the work I do. It's sort of the same thing. You just clean the crap out of the biofield, and manifestation just becomes a little bit more of a direct experience.
Well, even, there's stuff now where they're directing like sound waves and energy waves at cancer cells, right? And they're able to like direct it, and they're actually like blowing up cancer cells. So, I mean, directed vibrational sound and energy, again, is so powerful. And I'm, of this group, I probably know the least about it, like from a technical aspect. And that's why I'm really trying to learn as much more as I can, because I think there's a lot of power there. And it is as simple as tuning your antenna or whatever, whatever machine we have to pick up these energies. It's just a matter of adding to it and refining it.
I would just add on that. The view of that you've got to kill cancer cells is slightly in the wrong direction of understanding what cancer actually is, because the body's kind of produced whatever's going on. So it's a question of addressing the deeper levels, and quite often what's behind cancer, I'm finding out more and more as the more I go into it, that it's almost certainly psycho-emotional. So it's an emotional thing that the body has created. So if you clear the emotional thing, and again, these kinds of things are what will help us clear through all the crap that people have built up over the years of who they think they are. So breaking through all of that clears that, and then that would help resolve what's then called cancer. But it's just anyway. But I don't give anything called. And this is not medical advice or anything. I'm just sharing with where I am. That just my view of, if you're killing cancer, so you're not addressing the actual causal factor, and that's really what's important with any kind of chronic condition, is to really get to the root cause. And almost certainly and the psycho-emotional factor isn't really discussed in depth in that book, but it certainly gives a lot of there's a lot of information. But the psycho-emotional is I'm finding is actually really quite deep, and that again is because of all the conditioning crap that we've been subjected to throughout our lives of who we are, and keeping us small and just not expressing ourselves. So it is clearing the way through all this, being made to feel not enough, or whatever it is that we're kept down. But that's only because quite often our parents or caregivers had their own issues with their upbringing. So it's definitely, a long generational thing. But that's what's going on now, really, that we are breaking through this and saying, no, it's time for something very, very different. So that's why things, and that's why I think, 2020 and all that nonsense was about, that it's given us an opportunity to really, just kick the nonsense away and start to really recognize who we are and what this is and what we can do with it, and how we can learn about who we are and what's going on, and recognize we're connected, all of those sorts of things. So it's just, I don't know, that's probably might be a bit challenging for people with the sort of cancer thing. It's just the more I look into it, it's not, again, not what we've been told.
Just like everything else, right?
I'm actually going through my own little healing journey myself that I kept sort of like under wraps, but because I've been down these rabbit holes for so long, like when I'll call it an ailment kind of arose, I was completely unfazed, and I kind of had really good access to a holistic doctor who's actually like MD, but like a holistic doctor as well, who did the ayahuasca, who was very intuitive, and he was like, "Oh, you got something going on in there," and I was like, "Oh, like why would I manifest that?" And so I'm really into like hypnotherapy too, so like kind of delving into the psyche to see like what's going on in there. And it's like a bit of a jungle in there, and there's a lot of like toxic sort of psycho in your psyche, like there can be toxic stuff that can be ancestral as well, and through the ancestral lineage. So I've been like on a healing journey and doing great. Like like if I went the normal route, it could have been something completely different, but like I've been totally like doing a self-healing thing, and it's going great, and like completely under the radar. and it's going great. But yeah, totally, I'm picking up what you're laying down there for sure, and also the frequencies, like so fascinating, and not to mention all the cures that are like repressed, and same with like technology, how that's all repressed too. There's so much out there that's kept, like we're really stunted, like as a species, aren't we? Like as a masses, like we're really stunted in what we can do and what we can perceive, and if our body is doing something, like there's a lot going on under the surface, like you said, within the, what did you call it, like the psycho spiritual, I can't remember what you said, but whatever the deeper layers, the underlying, your psyche, your soul, on the very, like, the hologram level of your soul, and that manifests. So it's super fascinating how you can heal independently, with some other help as well, like herbs and alkalizing and stuff. But the getting to the root cause, in my view, is where it's at for sure. That's why I'm really fascinated by hypnotherapy. And when you get to those deeper levels, like that's where it's going on, and your root level for sure.
These conditions are usually it's some kind of message you're giving yourself, and it could be, it's that there's something going on that we need to address. It's not there's something wrong. It's not this, because it's, if you don't feel well, oh, there's something wrong with me. It's not there's something wrong. It's that there is something happening, and it's a message to say, hey, you need to look at this. And if we don't hear it when it's quieter, it'll get louder. It's usually something in our lives that we're not doing what we're supposed to do. Like we don't, it's like people pleasing, or just trying to do something else and not being true to ourselves. There are all sorts of messages, and so it's learning to listen to our own body. And of course, we've not been taught that. It's the complete opposite. It's like, go to the white coats, go out there and listen to what they say, and we're not taught to listen to ourselves, not to recognize. And yet, if you go to a doctor and they ask what's wrong, I mean, more about your own body than somebody else. It's just that we're not allowed to think that we do know.
Have you heard of a lady called Anita? Sorry, have you heard of a lady called Anita Morjani?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Totally. Perfect.
Yeah. She had she almost died. She had like what do you call it? A near-death experience.
Near-death experience.
She was in the middle
yes.
of the She went to the other side, and they were like, she got to see what was going on a soul level, and she came back and then was able to like fully heal because she got to the root of the soul level of what was going on. Super fascinating, eh?
Yeah, and it just goes to show that, I mean, she was effectively on her deathbed, and it just goes to show just even that isn't necessarily the case. With like something that's called terminal, she healed her body healed, whatever, because she'd resolved that. So even at that level, when she was basically, it's like they were told, she hasn't got long at all, and yet. Amazing. So that's a fascinating story. I love it.
Like people, like, because they have such traumatic experiences with diseases and the treatments and stuff, like it's something like that I don't really like to talk about, like in different company, because you don't really want to people get really emotionally invested in their journeys, right? So like I don't really like, if you're not really open to these ideas per se, it can be very offensive to people. It's amazing how people can get really offended by this kind of talk. Like if you don't go the route necessarily, and the ribbons and the route that they take, they can become very offended, like very like almost like aggressive, like, well, I did that, and so and so did that, and so died, which like we all are touched by that. But I never mean any disrespect by my point of views, but it can be, I can see how people in different ways, who subscribe to different paradigms, can be really offended by that, right? So I go fly under the radar because I don't like to offend people. I just like to be happy and peace loving.
Mountain Elf, what were you gonna say, bud? Go ahead, Sean.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you've heard about vitamin B17 or apricot kernels, helping people.
Apricot seeds are awesome. Mary and I do that.
Yeah. The owner of the Mason Road skating ring told me this story about how, like, he went to MD Anderson, and they said, okay, you need chemo and radiation, and he refused. He had lymphoma cancer, and he completely changed his diet and did research and started taking apricot kernels. And he went back for a scan, and the doctors are all blown away. Oh my God, your cancer is completely gone. And here's where it gets freaky. This is where it gets freaky. He starts going around giving lectures at like town halls and churches, I think, telling how he just cured himself of cancer. And eventually 2 guys in black suits show up, sit down front row, watch the whole thing, and then come up to him afterward and threaten him, saying, if you continue to do this, we will destroy your life. And there were 2 people from the FDA. That's what he told me. Anyway, so he would still do one-on-one conversations, because I was sitting there taking notes off of him. But yeah, that's pretty freaky. So maybe there is actually something to that. But why anyone would discourage someone from saying how they cured themselves of cancer is it just sounds like pure evil.
Because the cure is not profitable.
Yeah,
I know.
Nailed it.
And so again, like they'll do whatever it takes to sort of like keep you sick and keep you into that system. That's why there's such a huge outrage. That's why there was a whole CEO killing not long ago, because people know what's going on. They start to realize that this is all just a facade. It's all a dead system that's created to keep me poor and to keep me sick. And they start to outreach, and really just shows you who is on your side and who isn't. I think that was the most interesting part about the CEO killing is that all the people like Donald Trump, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, they all were like, oh, but like killing a CEO, that's like so immoral, and they have families. Yeah, but what about the families that were denied healthcare for years, and they died horrible deaths? What about those people? Nobody cares about that, because at the end of the day, you're seen as cattle, right? And when somebody comes along and he offers a solution, they have to do whatever it takes to censor it and to take it down in order to keep the system running, right? But the interesting part is, if they do that, then that means there's something there that's definitely helpful, that could definitely help me out, right? And you start digging deeper, and you start to realize that there is a whole network of hidden information, because that could liberate you from that system, but they just don't let you, right? It's the same thing as Margaret Thatcher said, that there is no alternative, right? Saying that there is no alternative means that she's trying to keep you in this rotting system through coercion, right? And so it's not even that she's making a statement. She's just threatening that if you try to dig deeper, if you try to look for an alternative, we will do whatever it takes to take you down. Right.
It's a funky place.
Yeah.
Well, Don, I wonder about those kinds of things like the apricot seeds, and in addition to what Vito is saying, the man who changed his diet, used apricot seeds, all of that also requires an emotional change. Whenever you change your habits and your diet and various things that are going in you, it causes emotions to change, and therefore, who knows which or both or
yeah, totally, because it's going to be controversial, probably even amongst this group, but I don't see anything as being a cure for cancer, because it's not something to be cured. It's something that is released, if you like, that then the body restores itself to health. Right. So I don't use it in those terms. The point is that absolutely. I mean, if you've got a couple of minutes, are you okay for me to tell my story?
Yeah, Dawn,
Brandon?
please.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually had a diagnosis of cancer in the mid-90s. at the time, I went through the standard treatment. So I had the, surgery, chemo, and radiotherapy. 30 years later, I'm still here. I don't go anywhere near any medical people. But I didn't take any alternative cures. What I did was I knew, for whatever it was at the time, I knew it was something to do with my life, my mindset. I had to make changes. So exactly as you were saying. So I started looking at what I was eating. I realized I was miserable. I knew I had to make some changes in my life. And I eventually, after a few years, made a pretty big change. And that started me on the path that led me to where I am now. So it's sort of multiple levels, but it certainly was the changing my whole approach to life, doing a different, because I was not happy with the life I was in, and I really had to make some changes. And so feeling differently, I then started doing different things, and then I started feeling better. So I was doing different things. So it's a combination of all of it. So I don't think there's only ever one thing, and it'll be different for each of us depending on where we are and what we're doing and what's going on in our lives and what the issue is, the underlying issue is. So it's for each of us to find it for ourselves, because it is giving ourselves a message that, as I say, just gets louder if you don't hear it when it's at the quiet stage. So it was, for me, as I say, I had to change my life, and so I did, to get me, as I say, to where I am now. But I didn't do any, as I say, alternative cures or take any alternative remedies or anything like that. But I did make changes. So yeah, as you say, there's a whole layer, and it's a mixture of all different things to do. And I'm still improving my health, but I'm still making improvements. I'm looking at things like energy healing, sound healing, just those aspects, and sort of learning more about that. And so it's not like, oh, I'm okay now. It's I'm keeping adding to whatever it is I'm learning to expand, to keep improving my health, keep learning, and then sharing with other people. So yeah, that's what's the brief.
Right. Well, if a part of your body, say, in my experience, I had a spot that was called skin cancer, but in my mind, if I could see it change to something that was unhealthy, it could change back to something that was healthy.
Yes.
And
beautiful.
And what I discovered, just sort of dialoguing with it in meditation, was it was all about a sense of worth. And depending where it is on your body, it's that little nuance of your feelings of worth or not worth. And yeah, as soon as that clicked, it started going away.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And there were different parts. Sorry.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say different emotions affect different parts of the body. The liver holds anger. So, depending on what part of the body, you can tune into what it is. So yeah, all sorts of issues. And as I say, it'll be different for each of us. Yeah,
I was going to say it's so fascinating how the subconscious, like the conscious mind operates like literally, but your subconscious is working like figuratively. So, for example, and Louise Hay goes into this in her book Heal Thyself or whatever. So, if you're like having a trouble with your like leg, for example, you might have feelings about moving forward, or if you have like shoulder pain, maybe like you have the weight of the world on your shoulder kind of thing, or like if you have like chest pain here, like maybe like hurt, like your feelings of your love, what I mean? Like if your body is like manifesting your feelings, like your body is like manifesting literally what you're feeling, kind of like in a figurative way. Super fascinating how the body and mind connection works, eh?
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So
it wants to show you the power for positive and for negative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I have a quick question. When you talk about these cancer cells, they act as a warning for something else being wrong in your body. Like, how do you figure that out?
What I did is I just attempted, and not really knowing how it would turn out, just attempted in meditation to ask what the message is, like your car dashboard saying a check engine light. You try to figure out what that is. And it took several, I think 3 months the first time this happened. And just something happened within my day that I went, oh, I'm fighting for my worth, instead of just knowing that my worth is always there. So as soon as that clicked, that's when it went away. And then it came back a couple of times just to remind me and to strengthen that. And just like by the afternoon, it started to disappear.
Wow. I can so relate to that, because it goes back to your inner child, and God only knows what else is in there in your ancestral line. Yeah. But stuff can even go back to like infancy, stuff that you're not even like conscious of, like Stanislav Grof that I mentioned earlier, like when he brought people through the holotropic breathing, they go back to these almost like choking episodes, like, or maybe they're going back through their birth, and like who knows like what you're holding like in your body, like what traumas, what feelings, and then also like your upbringing, like, you know, if you have like a weird upbringing, mine was kind of like up and down all over the place, and your inner child can hold those kind of self-worth vibes. So I feel like my whole life I've been trying to like prove myself, because I'm like, I'm an entertainer, like look at me, like look how important I am, like clap for me. And it's like I can't get enough applause. And it's like that kind of wears thin as you grow older. You're like, well, it kind of doesn't really get to the core, but it makes you wonder about the root issues that drive you in your life, and things that manifest, and ailments. It's just such a fascinating topic. I'm loving this conversation. It's awesome.
Well, I'd love to chat with anyone after this or beyond. I've been dealing with some pretty gnarly skin rash, itching stuff that's been quite debilitating for sleep and just overall life stuff.
Where are you?
I'm in Illinois, about an hour north of Chicago.
A friend of mine in Missouri is having the same things, and he was diagnosed as it being scabies after some weird fog in his area.
God, wow.
Yeah, you know, I've tried various things. I've gone back to the white coats reluctantly, and yeah, even right before.
As well as somebody in Canada that I know, it's like you're not alone with this going on right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Different realm than my expertise, but obviously happy to chat with you about it. I've, had some challenges in my own healing journey with that, so we can connect otherwise.
And same, me as well.
Cool, yeah, Elf on Instagram. I'm happy to connect with you too, Rita, if you're on Instagram. Or
okay, yeah, I am.
To what Natalie was saying about, childhood stuff, and, what I've found is there's almost a strange thing that you can trust, that in everybody's journey, there's a strange karmic riddle that, a lot of us are sort of assigned to kind of overcome. And there's almost like a perverted game of logic that comes to all this kind of stuff. At the very least, it's sort of given me some trust whenever we're dealing with problems. For myself, I also found my way to where I am now by having mysterious health issues that, the white coats, as we're calling them, were dying to find cancer through. And I tapped out when they wanted to give me a biopsy of my lymph nodes, and something in my gut said, fuck no to that. So, there's just a journey through it, and, it gets a little bit Gnostic, depending on how you want to look at it. So.
Yeah, a lot of great things have come. A lot of people have come. Me searching for a lot of people, probably why I'm here right now. And also just being able to endure torture, trying to fall asleep. It's 3, 4, 5 in the morning, scratching, crying, screaming at God. Like, okay, I didn't know I could survive something like that for months and months.
We left an email in the chat here. Gabe, who was here earlier, that needed to jet. The reason I'm going to have him and Sharon back on is because of the CDS stuff that they have. It's 2 compounds, and you put 10 drops of each in water, turns amber, and then you either apply it on your skin or drink it. It's a parasite cleanser. It kills everything. This is supposedly the most amazing thing ever. It's like I said, 2 different compounds. They sent it to me, and then a whole skin rash thing. Because as Dawn knows as well, I've been dealing with some eczema issues, and that's been very, very challenging. But I've also been going through a mentally insane time right now. And Dawn also was so sweet in reading me passages out of books about what was going on specifically, and all of it turned out to check the boxes on what I was experiencing mentally. And so I also switched soaps. That was another thing that I did because the scent in the soap, I have sensitive skin. I just know this. I'm a Virgo, by the way. And so that's another thing. Your sun sign probably has some stuff to do with this, as well as tissue salts is something that I would recommend looking into, Luke. Those are incredible. We've had Steve Falconer on the show about those. And it basically, the breakdown is there's 12 base salts. You were denied 3 of them in the womb. And what I've come to learn from Nicole Murphy as well, who Steve has had on, is that you also want to match where the sun is and the moon is. So it's all frequency, right? And there are salts for each sign. So whatever sign the moon is in and whatever sign the sun is in right now, we take those salts as well. So we're matching frequencies with the resonance around us. And it allows you to heal your body naturally. It's these tissue salts we're supposed to all be privy to. And you're also supposed to get these in seasonal foods that occur, but we all know how that's gone for us, right? How our food is accessibly. And so it's this fascinating thing. So Kembo.com for sure. Reach out to Gabe. Just let him know you were hanging out with us. I sent you over there for the CDS is what you can ask him about. But they're a wealth of knowledge about everything, guys. And thekembo.com. Asher in the chat there, my pen pal for years now, guys. Cold showers might help skin issues too. If there's been variations or changes that go into the water supply, hot showers just open up pores of all of it. Great point. So you got that. And if it is, another thing is Vaseline helps when you get out of the shower, or whipped tallow, beef tallow. We got some whipped tallow. Mary's been throwing everything at me. She was like, let's do this. Let's try this. Let's try this. She's been very helpful. And so there's a few different ways that you can retain moisture. And I think a lot of this has to do as well as we're all running our heaters right now and we're inside because it's fucking cold. And that always dicks with my skin, man. So, and actually there's I think Mary was telling me about some Nordic or Vedic tradition where you open up all the windows when it's cold as shit for like 10 minutes a day and just let everything flush out for the same reasons because you're rebreathing all your nonsense, right? So not to say that the realm isn't fucking with this externally, but let's tend our garden here. And this is a wonderful way to do it, brother. So this will get you on the right track for sure, man. We can absolutely help. And to that, actually, please go ahead.
Consider also urine topically. You know, it's
like the R. Kelly treatment.
We're taught it's a waste product, but it's anything but, you know.
Especially fermented.
Alex Zeck's one of his latest podcasts with Mike Cardamone. It's a very good conversation. Amanda Vollmer's done a lot of stuff with it as well. As you know, she's spoken about it. It's a panacea in many ways.
If you eat real clean and then take the middle part of your first piss of your day and put it under your sink in a jar for a couple months, it gets wild.
You just learn something new every day, don't you guys? This is incredible. My reality is expanded.
A lady I know who has been vaccine injured has done urine therapy, and she sort of documented it on social media. And of course, everyone was like, "You're crazy," but she said that it helped her. So I think she drank it. I think she drank her urine.
I drank it for years. Man, I put it in a neti pot. I've done all kinds of crazy crap with that stuff.
Well, look at that mustache, though. It must be something to it.
I don't feel good drinking my own urine. It's like I've tried all these different things, and I'm getting thrown a lot of things here. Like I'm not going to try all of them.
No.
What if you put it in a Sprite bottle and trick yourself, or a Sunny D bottle or something like that? Would that help?
I think it's a very specific technique. It's ancient medicine, so I don't think you just want to fall your way into drinking urine. But if it resonates with the right person, it definitely took me on a tour of my organs. So,
wow, and that's something to think about too. Is all the crap that we are flushing out is our body's trying to get rid of because our water, our food, our air, all that good stuff, right? So it's interesting. Does the technique still work well, even though we're being poisoned so much? That's how we're getting rid of it.
Urine's not a waste product.
All right, there we go.
Mike said that. Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that we've been told it's a waste, and so but the waste only goes out one end.
We still want to get rid of the
urea.
Shit, though, yeah.
Sorry.
We still want to get rid of the shit, though. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just making sure. Okay.
If you look at urea's uses, there's all kinds of products that really depend on urea. It's a very valuable thing depending on which industries you're looking at. So there's something to look at there with like makeup and what take a look around and see where they use it.
And yet we've been told to flush it.
Wow.
I'm just a muggle again. I don't use it anymore. But yeah.
One more thing to consider, Luke, is parasites can be energetic also, not just physical. So consider some way of purging your environment or some kind of a mental ritual or something, because I had a similar experience that I suffered for a year. It was agony. It was really, it affected the whole family. And for me, it was very much an energetic thing. It wasn't a physical thing. So once I realized that, I let it go, and it went away.
Oh,
I literally invited it in. So 3 of my family members had it, and I was starting to wonder if they had lost their minds, because I was like around them all the time. We were touching, I was in the same furniture, and I never got it after a year. And one day I literally said to myself, I said, man, if they really have it, I'd like to get it just so that I know that they're not nuts. And I had it a few days later, and I got it worse than anybody.
Would you make a request like that again, Mike?
Never again. Never again.
Can you do the same thing with the vibrational frequency of like, I don't know, $1 million or something, right? We can get the skin rashes, but the Skrilla, the grip is elusive. So Luke, yeah, man, we're here for you, like completely, because yes, maddening as hell. I mean, Mary would stop me in the middle of the night, like from scratching. She would just put her hand on my arm. I mean, it's like that, dude. Seriously. So we get you, brother. Absolutely. It's fucking weird times, Bubba. Weird times.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate this.
Oh, wait, I just want to add one more thing, because it took me a long time to get rid of it, because I as a chiropractor, I touch people for a living, and the last thing I want to do was be spreading it to anybody. And so I was using friggin' chlorine. I was taking chlorine baths. I was using apple cider vinegar. I was scalding myself with the hottest possible showers I could to try and kill the motherfuckers, and so then what took me a long time to realize was that the side effects of all those things that I was doing and the extremity of it was actually irritating the shit out of my skin. And it was giving me the exact same symptoms that I was getting before. So by just stopping everything, it eventually went away.
Man.
A friend of mine told me, like talking about using urine for a cure, he was saying that cured his athlete's foot. Although, yeah, I've never experimented with it, but
you piss on your feet in the shower. That's how you take care of them.
That's how they figured it out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's supposed to be good for jellyfish stings.
Yeah, I was
well.
going to say that. So is it just a bunch of energetic jellyfish running around here, and that's what the urine is curing?
We're over the target now.
Oh, what a drop. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, guys. Let's get to this after party here. I'm going to do a real quick pee before we do that. But before we wrap all of this up, I wanted to ask Natalie and Luke, are you guys interested in receiving something from the group here?
Depends what it is.
Healing. Can we send you guys some good vibes for you to receive?
Oh, yes, like for sure.
Okay, yeah. So let's, the power of 8. I mean, we have like 18 people here, 16 now. So I tell you what, guys. John, do you have a tuning fork or anything over there? I know, Evan, you had one, right?
Or
do you have a recommendation
pretty
for this?
Quick.
Okay.
Hang on a second here.
If anybody's got some tuning forks or something, let's break those out. And if you don't mind, the goal of this then is that we're not going to Adam's direct message. I love you, dude. It's okay. Focus. All right. So what we are not doing here is thinking about all the things that could be wrong with you. And we don't even want to know, by the way. It doesn't matter what opportunity in disguise you are experiencing. The point here, gang, is to only focus on that these two individuals now occupy the most healthy vessels running around the realm. That's it. That's our only job, is to focus on how healthy these two people are and how grateful we are that they are remarkably healthy. Like there's studies, papers are going to be written about how unbelievably and remarkably healthy these people are. Okay. So we got tuning forks, we got sound going here, and group out there waiting at home. You do this in the future because you're only going to give them basically like a fountain of youth type thing. So everybody that listens to this in the future is just going to continue your lifespans of health. So you're going to have to let us know when to shut this thing down, by the way. All right. So
how honored and blessed am I at all here right now?
One more time.
How honored and blessed.
Well, of course, you're here in your family. That's how this works. So everybody, we are here to focus on how healthy Natalie and Luke are. They're the two healthiest vessels inhabiting the realm right now. Adam and Eve are the healthiest things ever. All right. We got some sound going. John, you got that tuning fork?
Let's see. It's not a standard technique that we'll use, but it's frequency. We'll send it in your general direction.
That's it. All right, kick us off, brother.
Just let that into your heart space. Whether you can hear it or not, the work is the work. Just take a nice deep breath in. Just let it ground out your feet. A little bit of emotion in somebody's body, but we can just tap into that and let it go.
That would be me.
We'll go to 9 here. We'll just move a little bit through. Yeah, I haven't worked that through there. Just get right on there. Nice big breath. And one last one. We're just tickling the surface, but it certainly doesn't hurt. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share some of that today.
Anybody else's hands get hot? Did anybody else's hands sweat?
That was cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, my pleasure.
Who else had a reaction? Anybody?
I did, for sure.
Wow. I was like, hot. That was amazing. Way to go. All right.
I'm so
Thank
happy
you
to
so
share.
much,
Thank
John.
you so much.
Evan, way to go, gang. Everybody here.
Thank you, Evan. I saw you were on deck there.
Oh, mine was a 528. I don't know if it linked up with yours, if it matters.
528, baby.
Yeah.
Holy shit. How cool is that, right?
That's
called
the kick-ass
resonance,
one.
right?
That's the love frequency.
That's the heart frequency, right?
That's solar plexus in my framework,
my
but it's a powerful one.
Wow. Incredible. All right, so then let us know, guys.
Blocking.
Of course you do. Luke's
Drink
got
some water, take an Epsom salts bath, love yourself.
Yeah.
Mic drop. I love it. All right, well, I'll tell you what, dude, thank you guys so much. This is incredible. Let's do a little sound off here for everybody listening and watching at home. And just want to thank you guys again for participating in this amazing experiment that we do here called Frequency Theorists. This is the 19th one. We were just going to keep it going. So after this, the way it goes is if you were at one, you get invited to the next. So what we'll do in the afterthought as well is go ahead and book the next one. And if anybody would like to show up, you're welcome to. That's how we do this thing. So just again, want to let everybody run around the room and say salutations to the listening audience here. And then we will get to our after party.
Want me to start it?
Yeah, man. Kick us off. Thank you, Adam.
I just want to say thanks for the new people you keep bringing on because it's offering new perspectives, different life stories. And I mean, just what was shared today, it was just awesome. It's beautiful. So thank you for putting together this group.
I'm honored, man. I'm a magnet for incredibly cool people. So it would do the world a disservice if I didn't at least try and round y'all motherfuckers up every now and then and do something cool.
Well, I'll go. I'm grateful. Thanks for having me again, man. I'm definitely going to keep showing up for every single one of these. I'm stoked. I'd leave the link in the below like I usually do. I'm aiming for the rock out after also.
Hell yes. Love you, Evan.
All the love, Brandon, and everybody.
All the love. Who's next? Rita?
Yes, thank you for inviting me here. And I took a break because I'm redoing your guest room and your guest bathrooms for your next trip. You'll have a great big Epsom salt soak tub.
I'm here for it. I'm coming up. Good. All right. Let me know when it's ready. I'll book a trip up. Thank you.
Okay. Excellent.
She's the most uncomfortable house ever. She is so sweet. Let me stay there last time I was in Colorado. We got to hang out. It was beautiful. Your studio is incredible. Her art studio is just the vibe.
And your soul circle is starting to tell me that it's gonna have a message, so I'm hanging on to it longer.
All right, well, maybe come pick it up from me. That would be even cooler. How beautiful. Well, thank you so much. This is incredible.
Thank you,
Hugh, dude. I love your face, man. You didn't stop smiling the whole time. I'll be honest with you. We could just feel your love here. How have you been as you sign off, Bubba? Oh, hang on. For some reason, you're not coming through, baby. Hang on. You're unmuted. So are you plugged in? I know that sounds silly. It's one of the easiest damn things ever. Yeah, it's still not. Try and unplug it. Just go with your speaker system. See if you can just unplug your headphones there. We'll come back. All right. But just keep, hop in anytime. Fido, man, thanks for joining us, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So interesting stuff. Really nice talking to you guys. Listening in. Definitely never met so many new people at once. It's definitely interesting. I mean, if you guys also have questions, if I have questions, I'll ask. Hopefully you guys don't mind me if I slide into your DMs. It's something I'm really good at. But if you have questions like economics, psychoanalysis, spirituality, all that stuff, I'm there. This is literally all I do. This is my entire job, is to sit there and read books all day and then tell people about it. Like, that's what I dedicated my life to. So, yeah.
Very cool. Now you've written one that we can't wait to read. So let us know when that comes out, man.
Definitely.
Super pumped. Yeah, plug that thing. Show that. Look how cool that is.
Yeah, let me show you some interesting images too, actually, since we're already here.
Bring it.
Because this whole thing has its own tarot deck too.
Badass. Who did the art for that?
We used a combination of AI and Photoshop, basically, to get there. This one too.
Whoa. God, that's gnarly.
Yeah. There's a really
alchemical
one.
Man.
It is astrological, actually. We used Aleister Crowley's tarot deck to sort of get the right conjunctions of the combination of the planets and the signs, and each image basically talks about its own. It talks about the topic, right, and it signifies something. So, for example, there's one article here. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? It's called "Eat or Be Eaten." And somewhere here. Okay, 175. It's called "Eat or Be Eaten." All right, and it's basically talks about Hegelian dialectics. I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Hegelian dialectics, but the premise is here. Go.
Damn. It's just gnarly.
Yeah, and so the premise of Eat or Be Eaten is basically that there is a master-slave dialectic, right? And the Hegelian master-slave dialectic comes from a historical point of view where it's you're either a master historically or a slave, and the master always overpowers the slave, right? So this common notion of history is written by the victors, right? Why? Because they took on the risk they risked their lives basically to write history, right? And overpower with their position the other person who didn't risk their lives, right? And so the point is that sometimes you either have to take this massive position of, well, I have to overpower certain obstacles in my life in order to not be forgotten, right? Not be a lost piece in history, right? Or be the loser in my history. And there's also what happens if both people are willing to die for their beliefs, right? Well, then you have something that's called a gap in history. So they both erase each other, and it's like a piece of lost history that's not there. And we've seen this, for example, in the Old Testament with the Nephilim, right? We don't know like what really happened between them, because both sides, God's side and the Nephilim side, they were both willing to die for their beliefs. And so now you have this gap in history where it's like, well, what's really there, right? And you see here it has like Mars in Gemini, right? Gemini usually is a combination, right? It's a combining of elements and intertwining. But Mars is a very malefic, aggressive sign, right? And so in that combination, you have sort of like it turns into a conflict where one side overpowers the other, right? Which is why you have this Leviathan over here, those two Leviathans intertwine, fighting each other, right? So that it's funny, when we printed this book, when we started printing it in Greece, there was a locust outbreak here in Mexico. So I think there's a sign there. But yeah, it's interesting stuff for sure.
Beautiful. Can't wait to get it, man. It looks cool as shit.
Yeah, it's a hassle. We started printing. It's like the problem with, not to sound racist, but the problem with Greece is with the Greeks, they have a hard time understanding. They have like really hard time communicating with us. So they were like, well, the bleeding measurements aren't correct. And, the colors, they don't really print that well. You have to send us like new stuff. And we're like, okay, we've been sending you stuff for a month now. Like, we really need those books out. Like, we understand printing is a whole process, but come on, like, couldn't you have sent us all these measurements earlier before we send you our measurements,
Yeah, we're in publishing. We get it. That's, I always tell the authors we're working with, especially, the book begins when you hit the end. Like, that's when things really take off, and you're editing and you're messing back and forth. And how long did it take you to get your cover correct?
It took us like
how many uploads?
A month worth of uploads.
The B one that we have of the journal took about 18 different cover uploads just for the paperback for it to go right in KDP. So I hear you, man. It's an insane, maddening process that really tests your resolve there at the end, doesn't it?
Yeah, it did. We were growing really frustrated, but it's all about
persevere, brother.
Perseverance, exactly. And now it's finally done. You're going to start printing correctly now. We'll have the books next week, and then we start shipping them out, and they're going to be shipped out from Greece. It's so crazy. Like, because this book has censored so much, we had to have a guy in Greece. Basically, we have a guy in Greece who talks to them as our mediator and ships these books from Greece. And so he lives in the northern part, and the printer is in Athens. So he has a friend driving 5 hours to his place with like 100 books. And then he's just holding these books in his tiny apartment, and then he ships them out from there. So
I love it.
We always had to go through some weird route to get this book up, but it's worth it. It's really worth it. Once you have it in your hands and you really feel the weight of the work that has been put in there, it opens up a whole new world for you.
Beautiful. Well done, mate. We can't wait to get a hold of it. It's very cool. We're all proud of you. It's amazing. Wrote a book, and it's a dope ass book too. Natalie, you want to sign off?
Yeah, well, I'm just so honored and blessed to be part of this group. I don't even know how it happened. Like, it's so funny, like, because I just ended up following you, and then you followed me back, which thank you. And then, like, somewhere along the way, there was this, you were in my inbox, and I almost overlooked it, because you know how you get so much, messages, like sort of junk messages. And I was like, oh, what's that? I thought it was just going to be like the audience or something. You were like, come join us. And I was like, oh, I guess I'll just be like, just watching, like, as an audience member for something. And then when I first like logged on, and I was like, oh, like I'm a part of this. Like, it was just really cool. It was I really didn't get what was going on. Like, it took me like a while to figure out. I was like, oh, like, I'm part of this group that are chatting. I really was slow to catch on with what was going on, but I'm so delighted. And your group of people are so cool and on my wavelength. And I really dig that, like, we're all over the place, and just to hook up with some really cool people with cool ideas and cool accents, like Adam, I like your accent, and all, you know, like, you get people from Australia sometimes, and I just love it. So yay, thank you.
You're so beautiful. And Adam's not too far away from you, by the way. I think y'all are pretty close.
Where are you from, Adam?
I'm in Rhode Island.
Rhode Island, yeah. I just love accents. It's just it's my jam.
Absolute same. I thought that was the coolest thing ever when I had somebody on with a UK accent. My first year of the show, I just said, oh, I'm a legit guy now because there's somebody on with a non-American accent. It was a silly little thing that flew very quick. But now it's like more rare for me to speak to someone in an American accent sometimes. And so it's actually really nice. Very cool.
Do I sound like I have an accent to you guys? Because I'm actually speaking clearly, but do you want to hear an actual Newfoundland accent?
Yes.
What are you at, boys? How'd you getting on tonight? What are you at? How'd you getting on? Boys, some cold out there, what? Like, that's how, like, real Newfoundlanders
It sounds
talk.
Australian a little bit.
It's kind of like Irish. Like,
Irish Australian.
Yeah.
That's cool.
No, you can't go, boss. That's deadly. That's deadly gear. Like, this is how we talk. But to me, I'm speaking clearly, but I probably still sound like I have an accent. So
Yeah, I can always tell Canadians because you guys are so sweet. And that's the thing, you know, you guys get north of our borders and you're just kind and funny and sweet, like, in a different way. You're just wholesome. Like, John knew immediately. The second you said hi, I was like, yeah, Canuck, what's up?
Bless
Beautiful.
you.
But there's a fine line, because we can also be a little bit kind of like doormats and a bit of a pushover too, because you're like, oh, like, do what they say, they wouldn't hurt us, just like, you know, that kind of mentality of like trust and authority, and, you know, won't go there, but you know what I mean, like, kind of be a little bit too kind too, like, they wouldn't do that, like, because we're, you know, everyone's kind of like coming from a really kind place, like, you know, generally speaking, but yeah, I like to be thought of as of that for sure.
Definitely. And that's why you need a Texan friend too, to remind you not to get walked on. Like, it's okay. Yeah.
Now, Brendan, you don't
have
an accent. You don't have an accent at all. Like,
I do sometimes. In my bio, I have actually, in my author bio, I boast non-regional diction except for the words old, bull, soil, and foil. So those are old, bull, soil, and fool. I say them like a Southern person, and I just do. Mary will be like, what? And I'm like, you know what I said, woman, when I say old or something. I'm like, oh, I'll get the old. And she's like, ah. So yes, I will boast non-regional diction except for those words. They'll slip out for damn sure. And when I get tired, I get
when I get tired, full Southern.
I get full Southern bell. Yeah, because you're from Texas, right, Evan?
Oh, 100%. I get my accent back around Southerners for 100%. I can't help it. I do.
What's with that?
It comes out of nowhere, dude. I don't know.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's warm and comforting. That's why. Yeah. Put you right. You're just like, oh, lull me to sleep, sweet lady. Oh, beautiful. Anybody else want to sign off? Beautiful, though. Thank you, Natalie, so much. And of course, you're welcome. It's only a group if you guys all click on the link. You know what I'm saying? So the reason this is magical is because all of you decided to walk through the door. I can only show you the door. You got to walk through it. So thank you guys so much.
Probably worth noting, you mentioned that your hands were going off, and a fun thing I like to do whenever somebody that I work with says that their hands are going is I ask them if they're a Virgo, and you mentioned that you were. So
what does that mean?
My theory stands. Well, what I tell individuals whenever I hear that is that you probably process things and ground by doing stuff. So if you get pissed off and then you go do the dishes, or you have to like do something with your hands to deal with frustration or deal with buildup of energy, that's where I usually make that. But I thought that was notable, and I just wanted to thank you for the invite, and really appreciate being part of the community, and really enjoyed talking with everybody today, and thanks a lot.
As a Virgo, I concur.
Right?
Theory stands.
But that's also why we're like musicians, right? We do stuff with our hands. We're artists. I go, and having the ranch, there's always something to do outside. If I'm in a frustrated, some big sticks get moved across this 12 acres, and it's usually by force, and I'm yelling and screaming. There's actually a tree out here that has a bunch of weird sticks in it, and it's from when I just had my last tantrum, and I pick these fucking things up and chuck them into the tree, and the dog's like, what the fuck are you doing? And it's a way for me to release, for damn sure. So interesting you say that, because that's also my love language is acts of service, right? It's very interesting.
I mean, it's a half-baked theory, but whenever it comes up at home, I always know.
You have two more verifieds right here. Two more Virgos that are telling you true dat.
My wife is going to be so impressed.
She a Virgo as well?
She is actually, but I always tell her, I'm like, yeah, but the hands were going.
And they're hot. Is that what happened? Did you feel anything, Mike, whenever he was doing that? That's what I experienced. My hands got hot and sweaty.
I was too busy dealing with this thing.
Oh, whoa. So you were adding. Okay, so see, he was contributing.
It's a group effort.
Everybody is so fucking cool. Sean, do you want to sign off, dude?
Yeah, it's just it's always cool exchanging thoughts and everything. Good conversation, inspiring stuff. Hearing where the flow of the conversations here. Yeah, it's always really interesting, man. Thanks for inviting me along, and I'm sure there's many more to come.
Fuck yeah, you're an OG, dude. I love you. Dawn, do you want to sign off, darling?
Yeah, I've come to a couple of your hangouts, and when you said like frequency theorists with musicians, I was like, I'm not a musician, but this has been absolutely brilliant because frequency is like music frequency. I mean, I love music, but the frequency thing is just, or the frequency part of it is just so important. So it's been fun, and even though it's later here, it's fine. It's great to hang out, listen to all sorts of different ideas and share ideas and see, even though we've got different ideas, there's so much overlap. It's brilliant. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Love you back. Mike, do you want to sign off, Bubba? Stellium7, everybody, in the chat down there.
Yeah, I posted a link to, it's a little preview to a book that I'm planning on launching hopefully the weekend at Confluence. So
cool.
That's in May. And it's about stuff that happened to me when I was in my teens that was crazy. I was a hacker. I got caught. I went to jail. This was the 80s, so it was a long time ago.
Movie War Games was probably made about you.
After. I was already a hacker when that movie came out. But so I got caught and never went back to it. But hack other things now. And I'm just going to share a video, just a little synchronicity happened. I was with a buddy of mine, Alex Michael, last month, and we were walking down the street in a town nearby. And a guy on the street recognized me from my channel and then realized he knew Alex as well. And he turned out to be not only an incredible musician, and he and Alex have jammed together now a couple of times, but also a video producer. And he put out a video, I linked to it there, it's the second link. And it's covering the churches in the world and all kinds of great information. I've been looking into the whole Tartaria, mud flood, Star Fort, World's Fairs stuff for like 8 years, and this is one of the best videos I've seen on the subject. So it was just a whole nexus of threads that came together, and now he's a new friend, and it was just a chance meeting on the street. So check that out. It's really the channel is not his. That's a friend of his who posted the video. And actually, let me see if I can find.
If you have anything to him directly, that'd be awesome.
I was just going to add I've watched it. It's an amazing video, and his sense of humor is brilliant. So yeah, tongue in cheek.
Nice. Yeah, it was a real pleasant surprise.
His was a little bit stupid, I think.
I love that.
I found. Oh no, the video's not there. Shoot. I'll post a link.
Cool. And we still have the hangout too, man. So you get plenty of time if you want to join us. The after thing. But this is badass, and I'm obsessed with this. And Dawn and I stopped by a couple of places in the Hill Country and saw a couple of courthouses that were suspicious, right, Dawn? So we'll go on a little tour of the Hill Country there for you. But yeah, and if you guys really want to go to a place where there's still tons of Tartaria shit around, Australia. It's like they forgot to remove it, or they figured it was so far out that nobody would figure it out. But we were on there in Melbourne, and we took this tour through all these small little towns, and there was shit everywhere. We were walking around finding these massive churches. Everything is buried. It was overwhelming. I was just like, holy shit. So if you guys want to see some really cool stuff, let's all do a trip to Australia, and we'll go check that out. But, okay, yeah, and we've got the links all down there for everybody. We're still going to get to our afterthought. I love how it takes us 45 minutes to say bye. I just love that. Ryan, or anybody who doesn't have their camera on, if you guys want to chime in and say bye to the listening audience here, and then we'll get to our hangout with some music.
Yo, everybody. I love all of you guys. This is always fun. I turned the camera off because right in the middle of this awesome conversation, it felt like somebody hit me in the face with a baseball bat. I feel like I'm getting sick. My nose is completely stuffed. Everything started running, and I have a fever. This is super awesome. So I love all you guys. This is so much fun. I can't wait to share a song in the after thing. But yeah, that's why I bailed. I don't know what's happening, but I do not feel good.
All right, hang on to your tuning forks, gang. We got some more healings to do. Because you're processing a shitload of stuff right now, Ryan. Not just for you.
I've been in the hospital for a week. Not me, but my wife. And so I've been in there. I think maybe I picked something up.
Sorry,
you're processing a shitload of stuff, Bubba, and you're an empath, so you're dragging some of it around. But we got you, baby. We got you in this after sesh. We got you. Asher, Tom, or Jesse, you guys want to say anything? It's good to see y'all, by the way. Thank you. And Tom, apologies, man. Link was sent, but I don't know. These things get buried if I do them too early.
No worries. I'm just glad to be here. Great conversation. Okay. Thank you.
Jesse or Asher? I don't want to put you on the spot. I know your cameras aren't on. So I'm going to take the not turning your camera off or mute off as a sign that you just rather not. And I will respect that. So, Hugh, did you get that thing figured out over there?
Does that work?
God, there's the voice of an angel.
All right, there you go. Well, just thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. Enjoy hearing about everybody's ideas and experiences.
Super cool. You healthy? You doing good? You calling your mom and them?
Yeah, good. Just I was just over there, so yeah, it's great.
See, all right, beautiful, absolutely beautiful, guys. Well, just want to thank everybody again for joining. Did everybody get a chance to sign up, Luke? Do you want to sign up?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you all. Thank you for inviting me, Brendan. I'm really excited to be here. Grateful. Listened the best I could with Tom Phelan, and I shared a playlist of me telling jokes and singing and rapping in the Zoom chat if anyone wants to check me out. And yeah, really mind expanding reality, expanding things here. So love you all. Thank you.
And with that, beautiful people, we will get to the after thing here, and just want to thank you all again. All these fine folks and their song choices are going to be found down below. Check out the playlist linked down there for your convenience as well. And just thank you all. This is amazing. We'll see you on the next one.
Stay blessed.